It is 9 to 10 on a Tuesday morning. You are sitting at a Centrelink service counter. You are 67 years old. You worked for 41 of them. And in the next 90 seconds, a person who has never met you is going to look at a screen and decide what your retirement is worth. They will not read your resume. They will not ask you anything difficult. They will type one number and press a key. They will not ask what you did with your life. It does not matter whether you were a nurse, a welder, or a shop owner. There is only one number that counts, and it is not the one you think it is. Most Australians walk up to that counter convinced they will be asked what they earned across their career. They are wrong. Nobody looks at that. What you earned stopped existing the day you stopped working. What decides everything is what you hold today. And there are 3 levels. At each one, Centrelink treats you like a completely different person. At the first, they approve you in minutes. At the second, they quietly cut you down without you noticing. And at the third, you stop existing altogether. We are going to walk through all 3 using the exact figures that came into effect on the 1st of July. Level 1. You have $200,000 and you rent a flat in Newcastle. Your name is Dawn. You worked 38 years in aged care, raised 2 kids on your own, and never managed to buy a house. You walk up to that counter with a folder full of paperwork, ready to fight for every dollar. You have heard the stories about people who got knocked back. And then something happens that almost nobody expects. The system approves you on the spot. Full pension, $1,200.90 every fortnight. $31,223 a year. With rent assistance on top of that, no argument, no conditions, no fine print. The folder never even gets opened. Because the full pension limit for a single person who does not own a home is $600,000 in assessable assets. Dawn is $400,000 away from the ceiling. And she is not some rare edge case. 54% of everyone receiving a full-age pension in Australia holds less than $50,000 in assets. More than half the system is made up of people just like her. At level 1, Centrelink is fast, simple, and generous. There are no hidden traps. Here, the system works exactly the way you were told your whole life that it worked. Hold on to that feeling, because it does not come back. From this point on, everything gets complicated, and it gets complicated in ways almost nobody explains to you, while there is still time to do something about it. Level 2. This is where the problem starts, and it is the level where most of the people watching this right now are sitting. You have $500,000 in super, and you own your home outright. Your name is Graham. 68. A retired Sparky from Adelaide, mortgage paid off 11 years ago, 2 grown kids who have moved out, and a caravan in the garage. Graham reckons $500,000 puts him in a good spot. And in one sense, he is right. It is more than most Australians his age have got. But the moment he sits down at that counter, the treatment changes completely. They do not knock him back. They do not fully approve him either. He lands in a middle place that almost nobody talks about, and it is the most expensive place in the entire system. For a single homeowner, the full pension cuts out at $333,000 in assets. Graham is $167,000 above that line. And for every $1,000 over it, Centrelink takes $3 off his fortnightly payment. $3. Put like that, it sounds like nothing. It sounds like the price of a coffee, which is exactly why nobody objects the first time they hear it. So multiply it out. That is $78 a year for every single $1,000 you hold above the line. Graham ends up on $699.90 a fortnight, $18,197 a year, $13,026 a year less than Dawn, every year, for the rest of his life, because he saved $300,000 more than she did. Think about what that actually is. Inside that band, every extra $1,000 in your super costs you $78 a year in lost pension, every year, forever. That works out to an effective rate of 7.8% on your own savings, and it never appears on a tax return or a statement or any letter that arrives in your postbox. The curve is relentless, and you can work out exactly where you land on it. At $400,000, you receive $25,997 a year. At $600,000, $10,397. At $700,000, $2,597. Each step takes you closer to the edge, and the edge arrives far sooner than people imagine. Nobody warns you about this while you are building that balance. For 40 years, you are told to put more into super, to make voluntary contributions, to salary sacrifice. Nobody mentions there is a stretch where every additional dollar partly works against you, right up until you cross to the other side. And the other side is level 3. Level 3. You have $733,500, and you own your home. Your name is Marion. 67. A retired primary school business manager from Perth, who saved with discipline for 4 decades and never inherited a cent from anyone. She did everything the system asked of her for her entire adult life. Marion walks up to that counter expecting something, anything. A part payment, a concession card for her medications, a discount on her car registration. She walks out with 0. There is no part pension. There is no card. There is no concession. At $733,500, the system simply stops existing for her overnight. And here is the part that changes absolutely everything you have just heard. The part that makes those 3 levels mean something completely different. Your home does not count. None of it. Not $1. You can live in a $2.5 million house in Sydney, and for the purposes of the assets test, Centrelink treats it exactly as though it were worth nothing. It does not matter which suburb. It does not matter what it would sell for. It does not matter how much it has gone up in 20 years, which means there is a bloke living next door to Marion in a house worth $2.5 million, holding $330,000 in his super, and that man collects the full age pension. $31,223 a year, every year, for life, plus the very same concession card Marion was refused at the counter beside him. On paper, that man is worth close to 4 times what Marion is worth. She walks away with nothing. He collects everything, and neither of them did a single thing wrong. Both of them followed the rules to the letter. The only difference between them is the shape their money took, not the amount of it. This is not a glitch. It is the design. 73% of Australian households with at least one age pensioner own their home, and 17.6% of those households live in a house worth more than $1 million. The family home is the largest asset in the country, and it is completely invisible to the assets test. And there are things that absolutely do count, which people never declare. Your furniture and appliances, valued at what you would get for them today, not what you paid. Your car, Graham's caravan. The boat, jewelry, cryptocurrency, any assets you hold overseas converted into Australian dollars. The entire contents of your house are on the list, even though the house itself is not. And you cannot gift your way down to the threshold either. You can give away $10,000 in a financial year and $30,000 across 5 years. Anything beyond that, Centrelink keeps counting as yours for 5 full years and applies a deemed rate of return to it on top, as though that money were still earning you an income it is not earning. And if the value of your assets changes, you have 14 days to tell them, or you will be paying back whatever you were overpaid. So those are the 3 levels. At level 1, they approve you in minutes. No questions asked. At level 2, they quietly take $78 a year off you for every $1,000 you manage to save, and nobody warns you it is happening. At level 3, they erase you from the system entirely. And floating above all 3 of them, the house you actually live in does not exist. So the useful question is not which level you are on today, it is what shape your wealth is in. 2 Australians holding exactly the same amount of money can receive $31,000 a year, or they can receive nothing, depending only on where that money is sitting. The thresholds get adjusted again on the 20th of September. So if you are anywhere near these numbers, check your own situation with Services Australia before that date. And tell me in the comments which of the 3 levels you fall into, 1, 2, or 3.